This will lower your blood sugar faster than anything else that I know. These hacks will also help you get into fat burning faster than anything I know. And I'm going to show that last, and that would be right after number 7. But let's first start with number 1, high intensity interval training. And you don't have to do much of it. I'm talking about just a few minutes, a very short high intensity exercise with lots of rest. Wow, what this can do for your blood sugar is just off the chart. Anytime you force your muscles to contract, this type of exercise will deplete any excess sugar you have in your blood very quick. Some examples of HIIT training are burpees or plyometrics, where you're jumping on a platform back and forth, or spin bike, or any type of resistance training where you're doing high intensity, short intervals. Number 2, apple cider vinegar. Okay, what's in apple cider vinegar? Acetic acid. Acetic acid has the potential to slow down the spike of blood sugar after you eat sugar. Anytime you consume a high-carb meal, you should always follow it up with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I recommend like a tablespoon, or maybe like 8 ounces of water. Doing that right after a high-carb meal can decrease the blood sugar spike by 34%. This acetic acid and apple cider vinegar also helps the absorption of glucose into your muscles. Number 3 involves certain supplements. Berberine is one, considered a natural metformin. Metformin is a medication that helps with blood sugar, but the cool thing about berberine is it acts like metformin almost in equivalency with what it can do to your blood sugar without side effects. If we pair berberine with a couple other things, one would be NAC. You can reduce something called oxidative stress to be able to deal with this extra sugar. And if you're going to take NAC, I would take something like about 600 milligrams. So that would be a combination of berberine and NAC. There's a slightly better combination that you might want to use, berberine and something called alpha-lipoic acid. And so it can correct the damage from excess sugar on your nervous system. Now, this is just a little extra thing, but I wanted to just at least mention vitamin B1. When you consume excess carbohydrates as a cheat meal, you are going to deplete your vitamin B1 levels. What happens next is you start storing more of this sugar as fat, as well as causing you to have this nervous anxiety that a lot of people get after they eat sugar. If we're talking about a cheat meal, or you go off track, or you fall off the wagon with carbohydrates, don't forget about taking more B1. Number 4, this is something you already know, a post-meal walk. After you ate that carbohydrate meal, like let's say, for example, your friends and family forced you to eat it. Now you got to deal with this extra sugar. Go for a walk for about 25 to 30 minutes. You're not going to necessarily get into fat burning. You are going to basically burn off all this extra sugar that you just ate, that you don't want converting into cholesterol or being stored as fat. Literally forces the glucose in your bloodstream to be burned. Number 5 involves both potassium and magnesium. Let's start with potassium. In order for you to store sugar in your liver, you need potassium. In order for you to store glucose in the muscles, you also need potassium. It's the thing that helps move glucose into your cells. Because if it doesn't go into the cell, a little signal is sent to the pancreas to tell the pancreas to now produce more insulin. And now we get this never-ending cycle, which has a cascade of all sorts of problems down the road, which definitely influence your blood sugar. Now let's move to magnesium. Magnesium is critical for the cells that produce insulin, for them to work. Nearly every diabetic is deficient in magnesium. Just by taking more magnesium, you can improve a diabetic situation as well as blood sugar. Let's go to number 6, ketone supplements. There's 2 main fuel sources that the brain can run on, glucose and ketones. The problem with running your brain on glucose is that you're going to starve the nerves in the brain. And this is what's behind dementia, Alzheimer's, etc. But what they don't know is there's an alternative fuel, ketones, that the brain can survive on. The brain now has this extra fuel, ketones, to run itself on. That alone is going to decrease the need for glucose. So if you provide the brain with ketones, you instantly help the blood sugar situation of the brain, and the brain will start working better. It'll think better, less brain fog, less inflammation. Number 7, salt water. What's interesting about sodium is it helps prevent stress-induced blood sugar spikes. This is one of the reasons why people don't sleep, right? They go through this stressful day and they try to go to sleep and they're stressed out and the blood sugars are going up. Sea salt is the antidote for that. And you can just add more to the last meal of the day, or just put a little in some water, drink it down, and you're going to feel like, I feel calmer. You're going to sleep better. This is why a lot of stressed out people crave salty chips late at night. Okay, let's get to the most powerful way to help reduce your blood sugars really quick. Dry fasting. Now, wait a second. What's the difference between dry fasting and water fasting? Well, water fasting is when you're not eating anything, but you're drinking water. But dry fasting is when you're not drinking any water and you're not eating any food. Interestingly enough, I've been doing dry fasting for a long time without knowing it, just simply because I'm not thirsty until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or maybe even 5 o'clock. And then until after dinner. But the point is, it can have major effects on your blood sugar, even more than the water fasting. Let me tell you why. When you're not drinking, you're inducing a little bit of a dehydration. And so there's no extra water to dilute the blood sugar. And so what the body does with that is very interesting. Your body will start to increase a certain hormone that does the opposite of insulin. So it's going to help your blood sugar. Also increase growth hormone. Dry fasting basically adds a little more stress to the body. It'll help produce all sorts of natural antioxidants to counter this excess stress that you're inducing on the body. So we get more transportation of glucose going into the muscles. We get a faster blood sugar drop level, and we switch to fat burning really fast, which I'm talking about generating ketones. But I think the biggest advice I would give you is to not cheat on your diet and to be able to maintain a diet that's low in sugar so you don't have to do any of these. Thanks for watching. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies, with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.